Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Royal Sussex Live. Welcome one and all. Okay. Oh, there we go. Get my slides up here. All right. Elaine Parker, thank you so much for being first. Mary H, Lydia Washington, Rochelle Baldreau, Lorna Williams. Let's see who Emerald Derrick, Mary H. Um, Okay. Sherry Ware, Bunny Rose, and a host of friends and others. Okay, very cool. All right. Hey, Marcy Foreman, Janet Lavalley. Okay. Um. Oh, what was that? Okay, got it. Got it. And there's my slides. Ever since someone got on my case a couple of weeks ago um, about using what they consider unattractive photos of the newly minted Princess of Wales, of course, I took exception to that because I felt as though they were being patently unfair. I thought I used some of the more attractive photos of her. And if they feel like the ones that I use are not so attractive, well, maybe, you know what I'm saying? I'm doing the best I can. I am doing the best I can. If they feel as though these are not attractive enough, well, then I don't know what to tell you. I'm just using random photos of both, actually, of all of the members of the royal family. I don't pick and choose. I don't, what do you call it? I don't like look for something and say, oh, that looks beastly. Why don't I use that? Yes, it looks like there's a cat on top of her head. Yes, her mouth is askew. Yes, she walks with the back of her hands facing forward. That is not. Yes, her head is constantly leaning over to one side. None of that is a definitive determining factor or whatever I'm trying to say. None of that is important. That they are fairly represented and accurately represented, that's all I care about. So, who's ever saying those terrible things, just stop it right now. One thing about Royal Sussex, everybody gets a fair shake without fear or favor. There you go. Um, Royal Sussex is conducted without fear or favor. Or as Abraham Lincoln would say, with malice toward none. So that's it, with malice toward none. That is how we operate here. Um, and anyone who says differently is telling a fib. So, okay. So, anyway, let us get started, shall we? Where to begin? Oh, that's what I'm looking for. Yeah, I was kind of stalling for something. Okay, and I found it, so we can move on. Oh, holy night, the stars are brightly shining. I'm still stalling. It is a night of our dear Savior's birth. I need something a little deeper. Um, Ever since Church Nelly has gone through the change, anytime I'm singing and I need like a little deeper tone, I'm always looking for Church Nelly. Okay. All right, I'm good, you guys. I'm done doing what I needed to do. Just a little last minute something something. Okay. All right. Say hi to a couple more people. Hello, Rohini. Let's see. We okay. What is that? Hello, Rhonda Anderson. Very good. Educate You Too wants to say hi to a few people. Elaine Parker wants to say hi to a few people. Hey, Sherry Ware. Okay, we're good. We're good. We're good. No, not you, Apple phone. I said, hey, you know what I just said, and my phone started lighting up. Okay, got to be careful about that. One of the squatties posted this earlier, and I love it. Matter of fact, I should put that on the community tab. That is so cool. Do that right now. Only take a second. I'm going to put that on the community tab in case you want it for yourself. It will be there. Oh, okay. Let's see. In case you want it for yourself, it will be there. Ah, there it is. I put that in the community tab if you want to grab that for yourself. Okay. And here we go. So, right here, not a care in the world. Meghan Markle is pictured smiling in first sighting since royals accused of racism were named in Dutch translation of Omid Scobie's new book. A smiling Meghan Markle was out and about in California on Monday, seemingly without a care in the world, as furor over the racist royals continue back in England. The 42-year-old was spotted in Santa Barbara, a few miles from Montecito Mansion. What? No price? Oh, okay. Montecito Mansion, seemingly oblivious to the firestorm raging in her husband Harry's home country. The California born mother of two was dressed down in black leggings and a black long sleeve t shirt with a green baseball cap. Now, of course, here at Royal Sussex, we don't like to share those paparazzi photos. So while I don't have the photos, um, you will find them all over social media. So I'm not even worried about that. But just out of principle, I don't like to share them. But our girl looks gorgeous. I mean, she looks easy breezy, happy as can be. And of course, in order to rile up some type of hostility against Meghan, they had to say not a care in the world. But if you have seen the photos, go ahead and throw some flowers in the chat and tell me what you think about them. But yeah, she looks beautiful. Now, I can't make out what is embroidered on the hat, but yeah, she's out doing her thing. I'm going to say it just looks like she's out exercising. I think I see, well, I'm pretty sure that's a bodyguard that is like, uh, yeah, she keeps the bodyguard with her. Uh, yeah, she looks good. She had lost all that baby weight. And yeah, that's about all I could say. Let's see. And who took these photos? Oh, back grid as usual. Yeah, those are from the back grid. Let me see. Okay. Oh, let's see. One, two, three, four. Okay, I see a few of y'all seen them. Lydia Washington. Okay, very good. We don't know if these are even from. Yes, that's right. Thank you for pointing that out, Carmen. Carmen's Place says we don't even know if these are from today. And that's always important to remember. And you know what I'm kind of surprised about? I'm just like, it seems like they would have saved these until there was an occasion, like another royal outing. So let's assume that they just got these photos because if not, um, they would have had to have gotten them. I'm going to I guess they're from today. And the only reason why I say that is because over the weekend, surely they would have wanted to share them when Will and Kate went to the Royal Variety or something like that. But still, we just don't know. These photos could be a week old, they can be a month old. They get an exclusive, and that's what it is that they sell these photos as an exclusive. The article says exclusive, not a care in the world. So, but yeah, that is always important to note. We have no idea when these photos were taken. So, considering that, not much else to say except she looks good, lean and mean, taking those big steps. Yeah. All right. Good for you. I don't know what's on that hat, but I'm pretty sure before morning, somebody is going to identify the hat. Let me see. Right, Lottie. You're absolutely right. She looks good. Oh, Kellyanne, I'm sorry. I didn't show the photos. I just mentioned them, but I didn't actually show them. But they'll be on social media uh, very soon. I think they only came out an hour ago, but they're PAP photos. So, out of principle, I just don't want to share them. But they're all over social media. So, they will find you. Hello, Diane Hawkins, who wants to say hi to a few people. Let's see. Phyllis Johnson says, "Does Camilla really want to remind what she did to get Dumbo ears, Charles?" uh, I don't think she has any shame or humility, honestly. Acelia O. Ohashi, thank you so much for the super sticker, and thank you so much for being here on Royal Sussex. Oh, by the way, you guys, I am going to close down the Patreon account. Um, it's just so much easier if everybody uses the what do you call it, the memberships on the YouTube, or the what's the other one, or any of the other ones. But yeah, I think I'm going to close down the Patreon because there's fewer people on there, and I don't do anything with the Patreon account anyway. So I'm just going to close it down. Maybe nah, I don't like buy me a coffee. I'm not going to do any of those. I'm just going to get rid of the Patreon though. I think it will eliminate a little confusion, but I don't use it. I don't add any photos to it. Um, when I first started the channel, I saw that other people had this and other people had that, and I didn't research any of that stuff. And one thing about the YouTube is I would say you could easily take a college course or go to some trade school or something like that to learn how to do this stuff, because there's a lot of this and a lot of that. And I'm amazed at how often, just when I think I've gotten everything I need to know, something else comes up. And so, yeah, I was just like, oh, got to get a Patreon. So, but I've never used it. I just added some videos in the beginning, but trying to do that and do the daily uploads is overwhelming. So I stopped before I even started. So probably this month I will get rid of the Patreon. So, but thank you everyone who participated. I would urge you to move over to the YouTube. Um, I guess I can put a link for the membership, and then if you want to do a membership here, or if you want to support the channel in some other way, I'd appreciate it. But other than that, I'm going to say goodbye to Patreon. They changed the format of the channel, and I don't like it. Hello, Elaine Parker. Thank you so much for being here. And thank you so much for the super sticker. And Celia, did I ring the bell for you? If not, there you go. Thank you so much again for the super sticker. But yes, farewell to the Patreon. Now, I just hope I don't forget to close it. Having said all of that, it would be so me to forget to close it. But yeah, Patreon is a pain in the neck. It's like having two YouTube channels, and I'm not a walk and chew gum type of person. I admire anybody who's ever worked multiple jobs. That would confuse me to no end. Oh, thank you so much, Lydia Washington, for posting the membership link. So, yeah, if you guys would like to do a membership another kind of way besides the Patreon, the link is right there at the top of the chat. But yeah, I should have done that like a year ago, but I see that there's fewer people that actually use the Patreon, so I'm just like, okay, well, maybe it's time for it to go. As the president of Jamaica said, we're ready to move on. We're moving on. Sorry, Will and Kate, we're moving on. So, again, there are some photos making the rounds on social media that feature the Duchess of Sussex out and about. And according to the exclusive from the Daily Fail, not a care in the world. Meghan Markle is pictured smiling. They know how to rub it in. But let me tell you something. Those tabloids, as much as they pretend like they have so much hostility and disdain for the Sussexes, they're so glad to be making money right now. They don't know what to do. All of the clicks and all of the engagement, they are about as happy as can be. So at the end of the day, the controversy is like a early Christmas for them, and they know it. They won't admit to it, but it's early Christmas for the tabloids. And of course, the royal reporters have been blanketing the airways with their scathing critiques of Harry and Meghan, and of course, Omid Scobie, who actually started the whole thing with the book. And I I said early on that I am going to look forward to the book because I was hoping the book would set the record straight. And with the good also comes a lot of bad things, like the fact that they are still writing this whole thing about Archie's skin color so that they could avoid some of the other things that are in the book. But I'm still glad that there's another permanent record, a way to tell the story that doesn't come directly from Harry and Meghan, a royal reporter whose insight I found very valuable. A lot of good information in that book. And let me see, did I have anything I wanted to share about the book tonight? I've just been kind of sharing my thoughts about it as it comes, but right now, nothing really strikes me. If you guys can think of something from the book that you found interesting, please put it in the chat and I'll try to keep an eye out for it. But yeah, I thought it was really good. Thought it was really, really good. Omid Scobie did a great job. He called out William for his nonsense, and also it was a very objective view of Kate Middleton. It wasn't personal, it wasn't spiteful or hateful. I think he was very fair to Camilla, and I think it was fair to all of them. It may have been, um, I can see why they would not like his critique, but I think he also humanized the whole lot of them. Even William, I think he portrayed William with a great deal of humanity that I don't believe he deserves. Beatrice and Dylan says, I am happy as well. Uh, Historical and oral record of what happened to Harry and Meghan. Yeah, because at some point they are going to do the same that they've done with everybody, and that is reimagine the events. They will take license with history and tell the story in their own way. And, like, for instance, the whole thing about the Duke of Windsor, uh, I don't know how much of that I really believe. The whole family, seemed to have Nazi fever, including the Queen Mother, including those images of young Elizabeth and Margaret doing a Nazi salute. The whole family, the whole German family, seemed to have Nazi fever at the time. So why single out the Duke of Windsor when there was a lot of people in the aristocracy um, that embraced the Nazis? There were, before the war, there were a lot of people that embraced them. So I don't know how much I believe all that stuff about the Duke of Windsor, but it's easy to tell the story the way that they choose because he's not here to defend himself. Okay. Helene Groen says, I cried really hard today because in the middle of all the hate printed on all these pages is an innocent young boy. God knows what is ahead for him, like being bullied for it later in life. Um, Innocent young boy. Who are we speaking of? I'm so sorry. I'm that kind of went over my head. Bully for it. Are you speaking of George, maybe, or Archie? I'm sorry. I just kind of I didn't get that one, but if you could add a little bit more, I'd appreciate it because it sounds very, very interesting. Okay, let me take a look at a couple of more comments. Let's see. All these journalists should be ashamed. The royal family. How can you look in the mirror in the morning and feel good about themselves? Oh, Archie. Okay, got it. Thank you so much. Um, was there something about Archie in the papers today, or are you just thinking in the future from all of the stuff that's happening now that probably in the future it's going to be more of the same? Because I believe it will be more of the same. I don't see anything that would make the tabloids change the way they report or the British media change the way they report unless there's some like really solid legislation. The harassment, the protection racket known as the tabloid media will continue to operate um, without hesitation, just going after people as they've always done. It's incredible how secure they feel when they target anyone in the media. And the only thing I can say that is hopeful is the fact that the Sussex children will probably live here, um, as opposed to living over there where they would really be vulnerable and exposed. So I feel better about them living in California or wherever they choose to live in the future, so long as it's not around that institution and not and not in the UK, which is unfortunate. It would be nice if they could get to know more about where their father comes from or where Archie was born, but maybe it's just not meant to be. But who knows? Something might change in the future. We have to be hopeful for that. But yeah, it is kind of scary to think about. It is very scary to think about. Thank you for your comment. Yeah, I know, Helene. It is there's such a I was thinking about the tabloids today, how they operate like schoolyard bullies. And the other thing that I think about quite often is when Anita of My Duke and I was at the Ms. Award when they had the car chase that night, and she said she was surrounded with all of those paparazzi people, and she said there seemed to be like a hatred and a disdain that they really, really are evil people, and that they were saying terrible things, using awful language, and from time to time, I've heard the banter back and forth between the camera people, and they do seem awful, especially that one that likes to heckle Meghan, hoping to solicit some type of response, which is so stupid because, you know, if it hasn't happened the first or the third or the fourth time you tried it, what are the chances that something's going to happen? But they want the old Harry to turn around with the red mist and the the blushy cheeks and everything. They want him to turn around and lunge at them so they can get their photos. What a disgusting way to earn a living. I would have more sympathy for one of the old body snatchers, the people that used to go and dig up those graves and sell them to medical research. I would have more respect for them than I would for those paparazzi people. But yeah, I think about that sometimes. What Anita said, that they seem to have so much hatred. It wasn't just that they were ambitious and persistent people, but the hate and hostility that they have for the Sussexes, and it's not just the Sussexes. There's others, but there's something in particular about the Sussexes that seem to really bring out the worst of those type of people. So, um, but they have some very strong laws in California uh, when it comes to harassing people. Thanks to, unfortunately, the actress that was killed, but still, a lot of times they will snub the law or skirt the law anytime they want to get those photos. So it's an unfortunate reality, but um, I'm always ever so hopeful for the future. Hope that that won't be a factor. Hopefully, there won't be as big an appetite for those types of things, and it just goes to show how brave the Sussexes are for challenging the media. You know, you really have to you really have to decide to do something like that um, as a family, and then carry forth with it, knowing all of the risk. And because Harry is challenging, because they're challenging the media, they are getting like this epic response from them in the worst possible way. And that's because they're not used to being challenged. They usually steamroll people and they don't have any pushback. And Harry and a few other people that have deeper pockets have decided enough is enough. You know, I'll see you in court. So yeah, but it is it is very painful, and I think about the kids as they get older, what kind of circus there will be. When I think of Harry as a young man being harassed by the media like that, I also think of John Kennedy, the way young John Kennedy was pursued And then when he finally decided that this girl is the one, um, they harassed her to the point where she was in tears so often. And that is just the response they want. They want tears. They want couples fighting with each other. They want mayhem if they can make it happen. And then, of course, they will be there with their cameras. So I hope that one of these days that there will be a law against such things, um, selling those photos to a publication or whatever. I hope that there's some type of legislation that they can work out where they will take the profit out of it. What's her name? Olivia Colman, is that her name? The one that played the Queen. She was just on a. Do I still have that? Let me see if I still have that. I have been meaning to do something with that for a while, and I haven't done it yet. But to hear, in her own words, how she had been affected by that, and let's see here if I still have it. But yeah, she said she had to move out of London because of the constant harassment. I think she said she was chased down an alley or a side street or something like that, and she just had no choice but to leave. They literally drove her out of London. She did not want to leave London, but she had no choice but to leave. So when they say that the Sussexes couldn't be in the worst place by going to California, I beg to differ. I don't know that they would be any better off in the UK. I think you could really trace back. Oh, there it is right there. We've moved out of London because I couldn't cope with the paparazzi. Olivia Coleman says paparazzi feel nothing for anyone else and criticize the lack of regulations in the UK. Okay, this is it. Let me play this little soundbite. Again, Olivia Coleman. What did I say her name was? I think I said something else. Olivia Coleman, she's the one who played the Queen for whatever seasons, but here goes.
The Cart and the Chase and all the rest of it. You've talked, I think, in the past or recently about fleeing paparazzi. And I'm not comparing you to Diana and the Cart and the Chase and all the rest of it. But it is a weird thing to think that that was 97. And you're still, and many people are experiencing what you've been through.
You can only join that community if you remove all empathy. I don't understand the actress who spoke so beautifully during the Leveson inquiry saying...
Sienna
Miller. Sorry, Sienna. I was running away, terrified, down an alleyway, pursued by 10 men. Because they had cameras on them, no one was there to help. But she was pursued by 10 men down an alleyway. That's...
And is that how you feel? I mean...
we've moved out of London because I couldn't actually cope with it. And I had nothing compared to what they had.
And what would you...
to uproot yourself geographically because of that, it's quite profound.
It is quite profound. And when you watch any of these documentaries about people who have it much more than me, it damages you. And it was a safety mechanism to get out, to leave. I love my job. I never signed up for all the other shit.
I mean, does it strike you as incredible that there was that sort of what we thought would be a moment of reckoning in 1997, in August 97?
This is a group of people who feel nothing for anybody else. I can't work out how else they can just, they don't see something like that. They go, maybe what we're doing isn't good. Maybe that's not how to treat other human beings. Maybe me making 50 quid from a photograph, maybe there's another way of doing it. I'm going to get into trouble for all of this, but I don't.
Would you do anything? I mean, is there anything you would suggest? I mean, legally or in terms of how the papers work or the
Yeah,
photographs are used.
they're meant to be answerable to a body which is as useful as a chocolate teacup at the moment. There have been so few retractions or apologies by the paper. I mean, when the Leveson inquiry came out and we learned that they were hacking Millie Dowler's phone, suddenly the public went, oh, it's not just about, they're on the telly, therefore they don't feel like humans, so I don't really care. This is a family suffering. That's when people started to go, oh yes, actually that's bad.
Okay, so there you go. Again, that was the actress Olivia Colman, and she was one of the, I believe it was 3 actresses that played the Queen in the Crown, and that was her impression of what it was like to be pursued by the paparazzi. And gosh, that's got to be frightening. That has got to be terrifying, especially when you have someone pursuing you, even if they have a camera. You just don't know what they want, right? You don't know what it's about. What if you don't see the camera right away? And it's legal. Legally, they are entitled to do it. But you heard her speak about the lack of humanity. There's a lack of humanity. They do not see you as a person. You're not a person to them. And having someone with that kind of hostility or hatred that close to you, stalking you, that has got to be disturbing. But it's legal. It's legal. Rebecca Arthur says, sorry to say what I'm about to say. The only way this nonsense and harassment will make it stop is harass their families too. Oh no. I understand, Rebecca. Trust me, I understand. I was looking at this viral video where they have a restaurant in Japan where you go to the restaurant and you pay them to whack you across the face. And the waitress, I mean, she's just, over and over again. And see, if somebody tried to make a joke and invite me to a place like that and I don't know what's going on, or even if I were aware of what's going on, I know what my reflexes are, and it would get weird fast. So I am not a violent person by nature, but I tell you, there are moments when, well, you all know what I always say. Sometimes you have to bust somebody in their nose for them to understand where you're coming from. There is a time for a peacemaker, and then there is a time for somebody who is going to strike first and ask questions later. Because it's the only way to get a bully to respect you. They will respect you. Unfortunately, you have to get in the gutter with them sometimes, but that's the only way to do it. And so we just hope it doesn't come to that. It's unfortunate, but to have someone pursuing you with that type of hatred and hostility, somebody's going to get hurt. Someone is going to get hurt. Hi, Anastasia. Oh, good night, Anastasia. Thank you so much for being here. Okay. But yeah. So that was, I've wanted to share that with you all for probably a week. I've had this and I just kept forgetting about it. Let me see. When did they record that? Let me see when they actually recorded this. It's from 11/27. So yeah, I've had it for like a week. But wow. I hate that anybody's going through something like that. Yeah, right, Peach. Kim Peaches, buff them up, huh? Buff them up. Oh yeah. what was that Charlton Heston said? Out of my cold, dead hand. V. Thomas, thank you so much for being here. V. Thomas wants to say hi. You might see your name up there on the screen. Okay, let's move on. Oh, wait, did okay, I have that. Oh, so I put the photos there. All right, so that's just a little background. Commonwealth Games, Australia Gold Coast pulls out of 2026 host as fears increase over event's failure. The latest withdrawal means the Games faces the prospects of not going ahead for the first time since the period during the Second World War. And so I saw this earlier today, right? And then I was like, oh, I guess it really is not going to happen. I mean, you can see right there, it says Monday, the 4th of December, 2023. And then look at what happened. Oh, wait, that's out of order, isn't it? Okay, I'll come back to that. So stick a pin in that one. Commonwealth Games 2026, Australia Gold Coast pulls out. Now let's get to some good news here. I love this. Dr. Shola, I'm blown away that Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Signed the ceremonial book on my birthday 8 years ago. 8 years, I'm sorry, before I was born. Look at there, the 13th of November, 1967, Martin Luther King Jr. Uh-huh. Well, I guess she had to sign the ceremonial book because it looks like somebody has been honored, if you will. Dr. Scholes has here, humbled and honored to be awarded an honorary Doctor of Civil Law degree for my contribution to race equality, combating discrimination, promoting diversity and inclusion at national and international level by the Uni of Newcastle. Okay. It awarded the Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. The same. Oh, they awarded Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. the same degree. Okay. I've never seen Junior abbreviated like that. Is that like an English thing? But yeah, good for Dr. Shola. And I tell you, our Dr. Shola is hamming it up, ain't she? Dr. Shola, this is why the Rangers get so angry, because Dr. Shola has such a radiant smile. You know that works their nerves. To see somebody living their best life, no matter how much people have been conspiring to destroy them, and she's living her best life. So let's see. There we go. Yes, take that, the Rangers. And oh, yeah, so I guess that was it. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, that was it for the photos. Wow, what an honor is that, though? They pull out that ancient book, and you thumb through the book, and you see Martin Luther King's name in that same book. I'm assuming that is the same book that Martin Luther King signed so many years ago. I think that was on the trip he made to the UK when the Queen did not want to meet him. Have you guys heard about that? I think the Queen refused to meet him. That's what I heard, but I don't think they ever met. What an opportunity to meet Dr. Martin Luther King, and it didn't happen. So, yeah, I don't think she ever had a chance to meet him because she didn't want to. Wow, Lizzie. Wow. Just wow. Okay. Now let's get on to Dickie Arbiter. So Dickie Arbiter wants to update some information for you all. This is not an easy one. It is possible to strip them of their title, but as Harry was born royal, is pretty impossible to strip him of Prince. The downside of losing Sussex, she would be known as Princess Henry, and the Americans would call her Princess Meghan, which is what we've been doing. That would be worse and would never do. So Dickie Arbiter is telling people what we already know, is that it's unlikely that the Sussexes will lose their titles. And if that were the case, the Prince and Princess of Sussex, as one person called them, or Prince Harry and Princess Meghan, they would be asking for it, because that Princess Henry of Wales, nobody's going to say that. Nobody's going to say that. They're either going to say the Duchess of Sussex, or they're going to say Princess Meghan. So if you want people to call her Princess Meghan, take the titles. And didn't Harry offer the titles back before they left Narnia? Harry offered to return the titles. They didn't want them. They wanted to give them a year. And then, of course, a year turned into 6 months. Not even 6 months, 4 months. And they lost security, and they lost their financial funding. So, and then this one from 2021, by stripping Harry of his dukedom, remember, he is born royal. He would revert to Prince Henry, or Harry of Wales. Meghan, his wife, would become Princess Harry of Wales, with Americans likely to call her Princess Meghan. Is stripping the dukedom an option? He said that today, and then over here on the right, he said that back in 2021. And Dickie Arbiter, just in case you don't know, used to be the press secretary for Queen Elizabeth. So he knows a little bit about how this works. If he's saying it's a bad idea and it's not likely to happen, oh, thank you, Elaine Parker, said yes, and they refuse. Harry tried to give them their titles back, and they did not want it. Thank you, Helene. Thank you, Desiree. Thank you. Yes, that's what I thought. So he tried to give it back to them. They didn't want it. So at any time, they could try to start that process again of debating whether or not they should do it. But it would look punitive and mean-spirited, and it's probably a bad idea. If your response to someone accusing you of being racist is stripping them of their title, especially when it has to do with someone of African descent, aren't you really confirming what was said in the first place? So your brother gets to keep his title, right? And let's see, I'm sure there's a couple of other people in the family. Like, for instance, was it Edward's wife who thought she was talking to a sheik? Edward's wife who badmouthed the queen and badmouthed the rest of the family. And she was still the Countess of Wessex and now the Duchess of Edinburgh. Charles told the truth about his parents. Charles sat on television and told all of the dirt about his affair with Camilla. And nobody even thought about taking anything away from him. So I'm just saying, there has been more impact from other people against that institution. The only reason why there is so much outrage about the Sussexes is because it is manufactured by the tabloid media. The tabloid media makes a lot of money invoking Harry and Meghan's name, or including Harry and Meghan's name, to everything. it sells everything. So is it any wonder why there is a bit of fatigue? That fatigue is deliberate. If you don't like the Sussexes, stop talking about them. That's it. Just stop talking about them. But the tabloids, they make this huge story out of the smallest little thing. They amplify everything they do. And then people blame the Sussexes, citing that there is some type of fatigue. One of my dearest and bestest friends, I had to straighten him out about something. He told me, he said, they're a bit overexposed. They need to lay low. And this was during the pandemic. And I'm just like, we have not seen them for months. We've rarely seen them. How much more laying low, how much more hiding out do you want them to do? We haven't seen Meghan for long periods of time. And of course, they keep saying that Meghan wants to be seen, Meghan wants to be heard, and yet Meghan wasn't seen or heard but a handful of times for an entire year. And people would see that in print, or they would hear that from the tabloid reporters, and they believed it. They believed what they heard. They weren't seeing it, but because the tabloid said it, then it had to be true. So I always tell people you have to be careful about the fatigue. And they only do it to women. And of course, Michelle Obama, let's see, Serena Williams, Meghan Markle, trying to think. I'm starting to see a pattern here. Yeah, I think I'm starting to see a pattern. Even Kamala Harris. For some reason, if there's some African blood there, they have to create this scenario where they're so seemingly overexposed, even if you rarely see or hear from them, is still too much. So it's hard to combat that. It really is. I have been struggling against that for the Sussexes for quite some time, where I have to tell people, listen, when was the last time you seen them out somewhere? When was the last time you heard her say something? It doesn't matter. They still believe that they're overly exposed. They need to just go away. It's so unfair because we don't see enough of them. I think we saw more of them. Let's see, was it September, October, November? Yeah, we saw more of them in that 3-month period than probably we've seen the two of them together since they left the UK. I'm saying the two of them together. That was the most we've seen them in a short period of time. I think if you combine the other occasions compared to that 3-month period, then I think we saw more of them at that time than, since they left from over there. So that's my opinion. Let's see. Go back and look at a couple of your comments. And by the way, I could not resist a Ricola. So if I sound like I'm eating, I'm sorry. I needed a Ricola, and it definitely helps. Let's see. Rohini says Fergie is still carrying the Duchess of York. Yes, she is, and nobody has a problem with it. Oh yeah, you mean her doggy do hat? I left her dirty left her dog. cards. Yeah, okay. Let me see. Eva says, no matter what they do, our Duchess remains a princess, period. I like that. Okay. So, let's see. Leslie F says, Baron, news anchor on Sky News today said if they plan to strip Harry and Meghan of their titles, they better take Andrews too. And the royal expert was speechless. Yes, of course. Absolutely. They don't want to equate the two. Andrew, at some point, is going to, he'll be back in the fold. They're just letting him lay low for a while, but he'll be back. Charles is paying for his security. Andrew is still living at the big house, and I'm sure he's still getting some type of. There's no way in the world the Queen did not leave Andrew some money. I don't know how the Queen would have not left Andrew money. I don't know how that would be possible. I mean, she had the ability to do it. I'm sure she did. But because we can't see the will, we'll never know. But I'm betting you Andrew's got some money. No matter how much he cost her, Andrew got some money out of that. There's no way she left him broke. Yeah. Zuzeta, I'm sorry, Zubeda Ali says, hello, my squatties. Felt very sad for endless brutal treatment to the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. Yeah, we all feel that. But yeah, I think that it's important to really keep your focus on them because they are surrounded with good people and they have some very powerful friends in California and other places, and we may feel a certain way about it, but I'm telling you, the photos of Meghan today, she was out and about, and even though she was smiling, it doesn't mean that she was in a good place. But I really need to believe that she is in a good place, and that those things that are happening with the media, it seems like it's a lot bigger than what it actually is, because everybody who uses the internet or social media, all of our devices, we feed the algorithm and they know what we want to see, they know what we want to hear. And so those are the things that are going to pop up on our phones and on our YouTube and such. And so there's, believe it or not, a lot of people that's not paying as close attention as we are. Whether they like the Sussexes or whether they hate the Sussexes, or even the royal family for that matter, there's a lot of people that aren't paying attention to any of it. They see little things and they keep it moving. So it seems overwhelming. It's probably a lot smaller than what it actually is, but that doesn't matter. If it's causing like distress or harm to the Sussexes, then it could be as big as the moon. And so yeah, I don't think that there's as many people that are paying attention. And least of all, as much as they try to convince us that everybody hates Harry and Meghan, we know that that's not true. Harry and Meghan are the ones that have gone to a stadium and has been applauded. Kate, Willie, they have been booed. I'm trying to think if there's one stadium that they've gone to where they were not booed. I think the only safe space for them is Wimbledon. That's it. But any other stadium they go to, they went to Boston, they got booed. William was crying when he went to Liverpool. They had him crying like a rat eating onions. So they're the ones that are really disliked. And what it is that's so sad is that the more they try to tear down the Sussexes, they're really harming themselves because people see this. and you got to trust people who see it and know what it is. And just because there's a lot of verbal derangers out there that say all of these hurtful, hateful, and negative things, don't ever believe that most people in the world feel like that, because that's just not the case. Um, People love the Sussexes, and especially here in the U.S., I refuse to believe that wishful thinking that they're not as popular, or they like Will and Kate more than they like Harry and Meghan. That is nonsense, and everybody knows it. People get excited for the Sussexes, and they always will. That's why they're doing all the shouting and moaning and stuff like that, is because they're trying to make people have a negative reaction toward them. But it's just not true. For the sector of society that's paying attention, the derangers are very vocal, but they're not so large in numbers. They just seem that way. A lot of what you see on social media are people buying those bots and flooding the chat section with a bunch of nonsense, but there's not real people behind those critiques, at least not most of them. So anyway, I hope that makes you feel better. But yeah, don't despair. The Sussexes are living their best life, as evident by Meghan's photo today, and just about anything else. They're managing. They're managing this. It's not as awful as it appears. And the royal family really needs Harry and Meghan more than they need the royal family. The royal family is sinking like a stone, and they're the ones that's unpopular. So worry not. It is not as gloomy as it may seem. Okay. All right. I'm going to move on then. Let's see here. So Meghan Markle's private messages were handed over with William's approval, palace veteran. So Dickie Arbiter, just a reminder, you guys, Dickie Arbiter, who used to work for the Queen, not only is he saying that stripping them of their titles is not likely to happen and would be a big mistake, but that little truth bomb that he dropped, saying that, pretty much saying that William and Kate would have had to have given their consent for the leaks, or not leaks, but when Jason Knopf approached the lawyers for the Daily Mail when Meghan was suing them, he let everybody know that Kensington Palace, meaning William and Kate, would have definitely have been in on it. They would have had to given their consent, seeing that there was the NDA, the non-disclosure, that they signed. Only William, and to a lesser extent Kate, but Willie and Kate would have had to say to Jason, "Oh yeah, why don't you go and cooperate with the other side?" And that's what he did. So that doesn't look good for William. And trust and believe, William is being tarnished by this. Kate is being tarnished by this. The only reason why you're not hearing William's name, and instead you're only hearing Kate and sometimes Charles, is because they're trying to protect William. They're going to keep trying to protect William because William is the next on the throne. And they have to do that, because otherwise William's future as a monarch is going to be very dim, because most of the young people do not want a hereditary monarch sitting on the throne. They prefer an elected head of state. That's right, a grown man. Let's see, Baron. That's what I've been saying. The royals are harming themselves, and the world are watching them. And if Willie thinks by destroying Harry and Meghan he will win votes, maybe in the UK, but not globally. Yeah. um, they're shooting themselves in the foot. They're shooting themselves in the foot, especially when people in the you know what? Let me do this. Let me do this. I got another little thing I'll play for you guys. Um, and you'll hear someone. I think this lady was from Jamaica, and she mentioned the way that they treated the Sussexes. And when Willie Leaks and Kate went to on the Caribbean tour. Oh wait, is that it? No, I shared it at the time, but that's another one of those things that just kind of popped up lately. See if I can find that for you very fast. Uh, hmm. Nope. Okay, let me look someplace else. And if I find it, I find it. If I don't, oh well. But I wish I had the slides for you because it would give more reference, but I don't have the slides for these. Okay, and I don't have, I'm not seeing them. Sorry about that. Sorry. And I know I just saw it. That's what's so bad about it is I know I just saw it, but yeah, one of the squatties had shared it. So, but yeah, that is going to be their problem is that they are shooting themselves in the foot, and they're the ones that are not popular, and their popularity is shrinking by the day because a lot of these young ladies they don't identify with Kate. I think some of the younger kids that still believes in the fairy princess, they, and not all of them, just some of them. Uh, I'm still looking to see if I can find it. It was so good. I know what it is. I didn't actually save it, but I saw it on someone else's page on their Twitter. Yeah, I mean, I didn't save it because I knew I had shared it before. So, oh well, never mind. I tried. So, right here it says King and Queen Camilla plan to, they plan spring Australian tour. So, this is what I was saying to stick a pin in because here, let's see, where is that at? Okay, so in response to this, later in the day, you get this that they are going to go to Australia. These two pensioners, these two senior citizens, these two pensioners are going to try to run down to Australia and throw another shrimp on the Barbie. They are going to try to run down there and save the Commonwealth. I'm going to save my money and go to England just to scream. You do that, Rohini. I got 20 on it, okay? I got 20 on it. I will definitely help to support your cause. You should start a GoFundMe. Anyway, so that was the newspaper. Chris Ship with a P, not a T. That's Chris Ship with a P, not a T. King Charles and Camilla to visit Australia. So say, shaking my head, it's not a certainty. So says the paper. It would be it would be the first time the monarch is head of state of head of state of Australia we know King is due at Commonwealth Summit in Samoa in October, so it's a reasonable bet to predict he will travel to Oz then. Okay, so maybe he will go. Maybe he will go. But notice that Charles is being trolled by Graham Smith. Graham Smith of Republic. Graham Smith says, and I'm likely to be there too. Not my king. Republic are the people with the yellow and signs with the black letters that says not my king. He posted this trolling Chris Ship and of course the king and queen saying I'm likely to be there too. That would be a hoot. If they show up in Australia with those yellow placards, I am going to scream. That would be so funny. Could you imagine the look on Charles' face if he goes all the way to Australia or even go to Samoa? If he goes all the way over there and all of a sudden there goes those yellow signs, he is going to crap his pants. He is going to crap his pants. Yeah, I would pay good money to see that. Oh no, I hope not. Are we going to witness another Camilla dancing with Australian Indigenous while making a disdain or no enthusiasm to the people? Probably. Let's see, Baron, for your information, I have it on good authority that King Charles was not well on his most recent trip, and his doctor was with him every day for the last 7 days in Dubai. You know, I saw that somewhere where they said that he is traveling with his doctor. I heard the same thing, and that they have been encouraged to rest, that these long trips are not a good idea. We already know that Camilla does not travel well, but Charles, who knows? They are advising them to lay low, and that's really a shame because William and Kate, they should be going on those trips, and they're just not prepared for it. I would assume that right now William and Kate are strategizing so that they can get themselves up to speed. Charles doesn't travel well because he's old. Camilla doesn't travel well because she's old. They're old and unhealthy, should I say. Not only are they old, but they're unhealthy. They are both unhealthy. Everybody knows Camilla is in bad shape. And it takes everything that they have to do the few things that they're doing. So Charles really should not be taking those long trips like that. It's a lot. It's a lot. But then again, when the Queen died, Charles did walk behind her coffin for those miles. He did walk behind her coffin. I mean, he kept pace. I have to say, he was keeping pace. But he doesn't look well. That's true. He does not look well. So let's see. Commonwealth Games could be canceled for the first time since the Second World War. That's right. The Commonwealth Games could be canceled. Nobody is interested. Nobody wants that financial loss that they're likely to suffer. So after Australian Gold Coast dropped its bid to host the 2026 event, city officials said the bid had been scrapped after efforts to secure support from state or federal government had failed. The state, isn't the guy that's the new, Prime Minister of Australia? Isn't he a Republican? As in anti-monarchist? The decision comes after Australia's southern state of Victoria pulled out of hosting the Games in July amid concerns over the cost and because the event does not represent value for money. Commonwealth Games Australia Chief Executive Craig Phillips said organizers should now seriously consider any hosting bids from other nations. The withdrawals leave the event without a host, raising the possibility of the games being canceled for the first time since the period during the Second World War, and increases fears about its long-term future. In August, the Canadian province of Alberta withdrew its bid to host the 2030 Commonwealth Games over cost concerns. This followed the same decision in February for similar reason by Canadian city Hamilton over the staging of the 2030 event. Commonwealth Games Federation currently has no firm bids for either the 2026 or 2030 games. Ouch. Ouch. Ooh, that hurts. Ah, that hurts. No wonder they're so busy trying to say that the Invictus Games are in trouble. Everybody loves the Invictus Games, but nobody wants to have to pay for all of that nonsense with the Commonwealth Games. Brazil lost money with the Olympics, right? They lost money. They have all of those empty venues that nobody uses. They just crumble, and it's just not worth it. It's just not worth it. You're not going to make that money back, especially now when people are struggling with inflation. It's expensive to go to Australia, right? It's very expensive. So I would say that was a good call. Just don't host them. If the Commonwealth Games mean that much, then let Charles pay for it. Or as they say in Latin, noblesse oblige. Let the rich man pay. Noblesse oblige. So Camilla and Prince Charles in Australia backlash. Go home. You're not welcome. Well, this was back in 2018. Prince Charles and Camilla were hit by a tirade of abuse at the Commonwealth Game opening ceremony, with angry Australians telling the royal couple they are not welcome in their country. And that was back in April of 2018. But you know who was welcome there? The Duke and Duchess of Sussex. It was a huge success. But Charles and Camilla, go away. Don't ever come back here again. They were even talking about having another referendum. The only reason why the last Australian referendum did not work, I heard it was because the referendum would allow the parliament to choose a president from within the parliament. But the people wanted the right to vote directly for president. And so that's why the last referendum failed. That's not going to happen again. If they allow people to vote directly for their chief executive or prime minister or president, I'm pretty sure that the next time it's going to work. But there's a big Republican movement in Australia. They may as well give it up. They're wasting their time. Kim Peaches says, Baron, any ideas what hotels will be available in Vancouver for 2025 Invictus? I haven't looked at it yet. I have not looked at it yet. But it's not too early to start looking. You know, if you just go and search, you know what I'm saying? Just go and search, and then don't do anything after that. And I promise you, they are going to have all kind of like things popping up in your email saying that you can get 20% off, or, you know, all that kind of stuff. So I would just say at least feed the algorithm, take a look and see what's available, and then step back for a couple of days and wait and see if they don't email you with a bargain, a price that you just can't refuse. That may happen. Let's see. Charles Cash for honor, friend. could volunteer as host of Commonwealth Game. Oh, you're talking about Michael Forsythe, the one who started working with Charles when he was 19 years old, doesn't have any formal education, and seems to work like a little henchman for him. That friend? Let's see. Great seeing you all. I'm going back to sleep. Have a wonderful day or lovely night with sweet dreams. Bye bye, everyone. Good night, Helene. Thank you so much for joining us here on Royal Sussex. And thank you for being a member. Okay. Myra Roberts says, oh no, not here in Brisbane, Australia. If ever those adulterers come here, they can stay with Prime Minister Albanese in Cambria. Cambria is the capital, right? Let me see. Okay, let's move on from this then. So, royal race row distracts from real inequality. Trevor, Uncle Trevor. It's normal for families to speculate about baby's appearance. Confected outrage is scarring. I'm sorry. Confected outrage is scaring white people and stopping social progress. He's saying that we're scaring the white folks. That's what Trevor is saying. My older brother on a visit on a visit to a nephew none of us had seen for some years, drove slowly down Nottinghamshire Lane, squinting at door numbers, searching for the address he'd been given. A small sandy-haired boy kicking a football against the fence waved and beckoned. To my brother's astonishment, the boy poked his head through the car window and said, "Hello, Uncle Mike." Well, so I guess he's trying to say that people in his family come in all colors. I'm not going to bore you with the rest of the article. This is Uncle Trevor, Trevor Phillips. This is the one who said that Meghan had to learn what it was like to be Black. Uncle Trevor is just like Uncle Ben Carson, Uncle Ken, what's his name? You know, that one that used to, well, he still is like the whatever for London. Make no mistake, it is an insult. Fleet Street jury says Meghan and Harry can expect no mercy after their stunning decision to go rogue and quit. This is the same Trevor, right? You could see him with his Uncle Ben's rice bow tie. I decided if he's going to act like Uncle Ben, meaning that he doesn't like to scare white people, he likes to tell white people what they want to hear. So since he's acting like Uncle Ben, I am going to treat him like Uncle Ben, and I gave him a big Uncle Ben bow tie. So Uncle Ben, the purveyor of white rice, wild rice, brown rice, he reminds me of Uncle Ben. Out of all of the royal reporters, he's the one who really had to sound like he was invoking some type of threat against them. They can expect no mercy. Well, he is doing his, who's bidding very well. That sounds like the talk from an overseer. That sounds like an old straw boss. Trevor Phillips says Meghan Markle had to learn to be Black when she joined the royal family, but made a bit of a mess of it after she grew up in wealthy LA district with race never part of her background. That's the kind of stuff that he says. Every time something comes up like this, if there's ever a question of race, he is Trevor Phillips He has one of those honors from the royal family. They always pull him out and dust him off because he's one of those black people that says the things that white people love to hear. He reassures them with his non combative demeanor, although when he is combative, it's only with other black people. Here's one of his columns right here. Not that they are TV presenters. I suppose we must think of the Sussexes like Pierce and Susanna or Richard and Judy as Harry and Meghan. Unlike many, I have always wanted them to succeed. Right. The symbolism of their mixed race union could have sent a potent message to the world that this country, at least, we have found ways to bridge the racial division that risks destroying other societies. But when that doesn't work, they will get him to go on TV and say all of the stuff that they need him to say. Like, look at this old article right here. At last, a man who dares to tell the truth about race. Of course, this is in the Daily Mail. Ex-race czar says silencing of debate has done devastating harm to Britain. Trevor Phillips is a former chairman of the Commission of Racial Equality. He has attacked racket of multiculturalism sparked by Blair's government, blamed for silencing of race issues for the Rotterdam grooming scandal, claims we are more ready to offend each other as price for free speech. He's a flip flopper. He feels one way about it this day and another way about it the next day. And by the way, you guys, I I would never, I would never go in a magazine with my hand over my mouth because you know what that looks like. You know, hear no evil, speak no evil, see no evil. Why would you do that to yourself? Why would you do that to your race, covering up your mouth? You see that he is a buffoon. He is a clown for the establishment. Who does that? Taking a picture with their hand over their mouth. Oh, wait a minute. Is that Trevor wearing his big bow tie and being honored by William? See what I mean? See what I mean? There's Trevor bowing and curtsying. He's embarrassing. And there's that other one. This is Ken Elisa. Is that his name? Delisi or whatever. This is the guy that said that the Queen was for Black Lives Matter. They had a big headline that said the Queen believes in Black Lives Matter. But in the article, you find out that the Queen had a conversation with him about Black Lives Matter. She didn't say she was for it, they just had a conversation. That doesn't mean she was for Black Lives Matter, but they leaked the story. They did an article, and Ken, what's his face? And by the way, I didn't put a bow tie on him. He already had a bow tie. Oh, and take a look at this, you guys. Take a look at this. Talk about fantasy. A fan, and I know it's hard to believe it, but someone who is a fan of, y'all know who that is, right? Okay, I'm going to tell you who it is. That is Nana on the left, and that is Angela on the right. Nana Akua on the left, Angela Levin on the right. They have been, what do you call it, made over, I guess you could say. This is probably like some kind of AI project, but take a look here. This is the final product, but you know me, it was one of their fans. It was a fan of Angela Levin had did that. So I decided to put it right. Okay, I didn't think that that was proper, so I found the original. There you go. There you go. So this is the real one, and that's the fantasy one. I decided that I would put it back the way it's supposed to be. This is the fantasy version, and this is my version. There you go. So I should send that to Angela Levin. I'm going to have to go to my burner account so that I could post that on her timeline. Oh, you know what? I'll just put it on my timeline. Don't even try it. Don't even try it. They sure did polish them up real good, didn't they? Look at that. I mean, it's like you don't even know who these are. But I know who they are. There you go. Warts and all. And of course, the Royal Rumble, they have a podcast called Royal Rumble. And Nana and Angela, they sit on the couch. At least I think they still have it. I don't even know if that channel still exists, but they had their own channel called Royal Rumble, and they just sit on the couch together and talk crazy. Now, be yourself. Why we need to see more of the real Kate Middleton. If you guys have read the, oh gosh, what's the name of the book? Omit's book, Endgame. If you guys read Endgame, you know that Omid Scobie said that Kate Middleton should try to be herself more and to not be such a Stepford wife, right? If you look at this article from 2014, isn't that the same thing Camilla Tominey said? Just be yourself. Why we need to see more of the real Kate Middleton. They accuse Omid Scobie of attacking Kate by saying she needs to show the world her true self. But here you can see when Camilla Tominey said it back in 2014 that it was okay. But Omid says the same thing, more or less, and he gets attacked for it. Omid was saying that in the book that she needs to try to be more herself. Stop being such a robot. Stop being such a Stepford wife. And believe it or not, back in 2014, Camilla Tominey said the same thing. Now, the monarchy is infantilizing rather, what it is. What is a proper duchess? A woman who does make a fuss. Should it be doesn't make a fuss? A woman who doesn't make a fuss. Someone who quietly milks the taxpayers for luxury lifestyle without much effort. So once again, Graham Smith, who is the head of the Republic movement, Graham Smith also is stalking or trolling, should I say, is also trolling the Duchess of Edinburgh. He says here the monarchy is infantilizing what is a proper duchess? A woman who does make a fuss, someone who quietly milks the taxpayers for a luxury lifestyle without much effort. And also, Duchess Sophie's new look has not gone down well with fans, all offering the same advice. Duchess Sophie donned a new look on day 3 of her Colombian visit, but royal fans were not impressed. Okay, I'm impressed to think that they believe that she has any fans, let alone that there are royal fans that even know that. Did you guys know she was in Colombia? Let me just ask you that. Did you all know she was in Colombia? I didn't think so. Well, she's in Colombia right now. She wore this. I actually thought the dress was nice. Everything looks kind of dumpy on her because, she's got some very dumpy proportions, but it's a nice dress. I mean, it looks like something for a wedding or whatever, but it's a nice dress. And she wore her little wedge heels. Well, one of the people on the Instagram said, "So sorry, Sophie. I love you, but not the dress." That was one of her people. "I love you, but not the dress." I thought she looked okay. I mean, in a withered kind of way, she looks okay. I've seen her look worse. I mean, she could have wore the blue jumpsuit, right? She could have worn her blue jumpsuit. Just if you thought that was bad, just imagine if she had worn the blue jumpsuit. So I would say she's probably getting off easy or letting them off easy by wearing this dress. But she could have always pulled out that Cracker Jack character jumpsuit. I mean, after all, Sophie has come a long way since the Dust Bowl era that struck the southern western United States when Sophie was pictured with three children that we have not identified yet. Um, Sophie, aka Ford Fiesta, she comes a long way. Um, Now she's this very polished, elegant, continental um, supermodel of a duchess. So she's come a long way. I mean, look at how drab she was during the Dust Bowl era. That does look like her, doesn't it? Looks just like her. And I think this is the last one for today, is it? Yeah, this is our last slide. George Santos, rookie number one, the 118th Congress action figure, rookie of the year. Free accessories, motto to be discontinued. Um, let's see, major accomplishments, charged with 23 felonies, a pandemic fraud case, unemployment fraud, campaign finance fraud, super PAC fraud, 4 counts of wire fraud, aggravated identity theft, spent on Botox and OnlyFans, access device fraud, theft of public money, and voted for Mike Johnson. So, again, this is the George Santos action figure. I don't know whose kids would want to play with that, but if they do, tell them to wash their hands. Oh, I just noticed that they had a little bottle of Botox on the side. Yeah. So, anyway, that's it, you guys. Thank you all so much for joining us on Royal Sussex. I will see you all tomorrow. Thank you, moderators, for keeping this a very safe space. Thank you all for your very generous and thoughtful contributions. Thank you, Acelia Ohashi, and thank you, Elaine Parker. All right. And, or daughter, son or daughter. Yeah. Well, maybe Brazil will take them back. I know someone from Brazil who is quite embarrassed with George Santos. They said we can keep him, and I'm like, we don't want him. We don't want him. But let's see, he's from what, the district in Long Island or something like that? He lied and said that his grandparents was, he lost his grandparents in the Holocaust. He's just a liar. It's one lie after the other. There's no lie too great or too big. Yeah, he is a born liar. So, good night, Kim Peaches. Good night, everyone. All right. And of course, good night to our queens. And our last word of the day is really. Ooh. I wish he would. Only Republicans, huh? Only Republicans? I don't think that's going far enough. But that would be fun. That would be fun. Let me find us. Okay. Oh, here you go. You may never know what results come from your actions, but if you do nothing, there will be no results. Huh. I like that. One more. Wise saying often falls on barren wall, but a kind word is never thrown away. I don't like that one. Let me see here. Oh, this is good. He who respects himself is safe from others. That's a good one. Okay, one more. One day you'll be just a memory. For some people, do your best to be a good one. One day you will be just a memory for some people, so do your best to be a good memory. All right, I like that. The only man who never makes a mistake is a man who never does anything. Let's see. What matters most is what sort of person you are becoming. Wise individuals care only about whom they are today and who they can be tomorrow. Like that. Okay, there you have it. Oh, thank you very much. Is it Faik Burke? Book? Book. Okay. I know you guys are getting out of here early tonight. So let's not spoil it, okay? Before I start talking about Europe or something. All right. Good night, everyone. Love you guys. See you tomorrow. And let's end with Madam Duchess, shall we? We'll end with Madam Duchess.